What's up? Let's get started. With that. What the fuck? Roadmap the assets. There's a good roadmap in this. Not gonna lie. Um, wait, wait, personal. The hell? The hell? Do I need to open the bookmark and stuff? Okay, cloud engineering mastery. Or AWS Bass. This is way too detailed. I'm not a beginner, so I don't need all of this to learn again and again. I need to learn Git, by the way. There's a Git in there. Mm, okay. So I can like cross this out, or I know how to remove file. Like, let me try in bash command. Okay, let's do like ls cd. What should I delete? Downloads ls. I got way too much stuff. Cisco packet tracer. Um, what should I delete? Uh, Oreo red cursor. That was shit. Remove. Oreo red. So our cursors the tar the gz ls. I think that's gone. This remain, but the zip file. Okay, let me see it. Is there a recycle bin in it in Linux? I don't know. Bin. Recycle bin in here. Wait. What the fuck? Okay. Where was I? Here. Okay. Clear. I can do by force too. So let's remove this. And navigating file system. I can do that. I can do that. Like cd slash root ls bin cd slash bin. I need to zoom in. Okay. ls so many cat. Okay, I can read file. This is the content. If you don't understand, like cd cd and ls cd document ls cat cd python ls cat main.py. This is the content of that. Last number, I can number that. I learned this from man.cat. Okay, so all equivalent number bank. So and display dollar at the end of each line. It does what it says it does. Like, seriously. Okay, man the cat, man that. What the fuck was that? I forgot. What the fuck? E. E dollar sign at average ton. Okay, number. This look clean, so I use that. Clear. I know history too. Okay. Let's be okay. Dick's partition. I got way too much partition, so I really want to recover that. To be honest. Clear. Okay. Navigating file system. I don't know how to move files in Bash. Command to move file. So it's MB. A real man understand uh, how to do a command is like from man. That's a meme, by the way. Okay, make a backup for each existing the destination file. That's this backup, like, but doesn't accept an argument. Yeah. Prompt before overwriting, interactive prompt before overwriting. Do not override an existing file. Um, Verbose explain what is being done. Okay, V for verbose. Okay, autumn. Okay. Um, CD. CD. What do you call this? Desktop. Uh, make the directory. Root. Okay. Do I have make directory? I just want to look. What the fuck is that? Okay, not that. Picture, document, home. I think this is not okay. Root. Okay, move. Root to slash document slash. Is there a move dir? So it's move file. I know how to make file bypass. US create an empty file thoughts. Okay, echo. Actually, can't understand touch. Okay, man, touch. Change file time span. What the fuck is that? Object argument A create only the access time. Do not create any file. Create. touch ls cd ls nothing. Touch the py ls the cat the py. Okay, okay. Understand what it's okay. It's make the file. I can't move the file. cv hello the py to what type of destination is that? Path to destination. Like path to destination. What the fuck?
Hello, and welcome to your third video in an introduction to Bash programming. Let's see if you remember the stuff from the last lesson. So, the tilde was the current user's home folder, the path folder, and do with all this text, which we don't really need. We are in a home folder. You can use with command away. It doesn't actually go away, but it you can always go back up and look at it. In our home folder, we can do ls to find what we've got here. Create by make tree. Kind of do we want to.
Mark directory. I know, bro.
If you're ever wondering why my text auto-completes, I am simply pressing that. If there's nothing else in my nose, so pressing tab will auto-complete. Learned how to and this file will be. So now this txt that it's long. The long format will show us that it is 0 bytes long. This file is effectively empty. Okay, so what if I want to move it somewhere else? Imagine I've written some content into my test file and I want to move it to another folder. Well, I can do that fairly easily. I can press move, mv stands for move, and then the file. I press TE. There's no other file that starts with TE in my current directory, so I press tab and it auto-completes, and then I can select which folder I want to move it to. Imagine I want to move it to my home folder. I can press this, and it would move it, or this, and that would move it as well, because my home folder is the home folder to the current folder.
Okay,
this might sound a bit confusing, but simply know that the two dots are going to move it up one folder. It is no longer there. Now let's do this. And now if we press ls, we'll find that this is no longer there because it's been moved. If we go to my home folder, we can effectively see it here. If manage
txt, okay. There's no path and destination in this, by the way. So I kinda the pi isn't root, but this is document slash Python. Okay. Aaron. Okay, what about this then? Aaron document Python no source directory. What the fuck, man? Oh, let's do this, bruh. What the fuck is that? Come on, man. Lagging. Okay. Okay, move. Move. Hello.py to okay, there it come. Hello.py. Okay. Clear. I know how to copy, by the way. Let's document. and then Python cd ls cd desktop ls, oh, not desktop, cd clear in the class main slash Python Bro, why can I do this? Documents. Okay. Man, slash. What the fuck is even going on, man? Oh, CP mean the PY. Let me see destination file. CP mean the PY dot slash in Python only. That's what I'm saying. Okay, let's do this. Ls cd dot one layer up mean the pi. Okay, cp mean the pi to Python. No. Move mean the pi to slash Python. Permission denied. Permission denied. What the fuck? Fuck you, man. Man, the pi slash Python. Okay, show the password. Okay. I moved that far, by the way. Up to here. What the fuck is going on? Wait, I need to go toilet break. Okay, starts.
Alright, if you've ever wanted to find
Keep on pausing, man.
something from the command line, then you might have heard of these two commands, find and locate. And those work fine if you're trying to find a file, but the problem with these commands that you hear often recommended is just that they're really slow. So if you use find or locate to try to find one of your files, then for me at least, it can take up to 10 or 20 seconds just to find a simple file. And it was just painful for me anytime I tried to use one of these commands. So what I found here instead, plocate, is actually much faster than something like locate, and it does so just by improving the method that it uses to find the files. And I'm not going to pretend like I understand all of this jargon right here. You don't need to understand it either. Just take my word for it that it's much faster than your ordinary locate command. Alright, so let me just go ahead and show you how to find files on your command line. So first off, you'll want to install plocate. Now, by default, I think it's in most official repositories, so I know if you're on Arch, Debian, Ubuntu, install it from the main repository. I know if you're on Arch, Debian, Ubuntu, you can just install it from the main repository. So at least on Arch Linux, I'm going to install it with Pacman right here. I've already done that, so I'm going to do it again. But if you're not on one of these systems, you might have to go to the website and download it and build it yourself. Just keep that in mind.
Normal command line. What the fuck is that? I need something for a normal command line. Bro, is that hard to find that? Is it locate or fucking hell? Basic. Searching files. Basic for searching file both by name and by content. Power like Linux. Okay. Text Linux Mac OS which use Bash. So like okay, pause. Okay, find dot dash name report dot text. Find dot dash name find file case sensitive only direct find only directories modified in fast name if indexed. Okay, out of the man alone thinks he used man. Come on, brother. Okay, man. Fine. So let's see. Root street, brother. Okay, if you are using fine in any environment, we say, but right, but the other user used to read the security consideration chapter of the find utils document, which is called finding file and come with file find utils. The document also include a lot more detail and discuss some and this manual page, so you may find it more useful search information and they can do with name. What I need is then find dot slash what the fuck. Find dot slash by name Mean the pie. Can I do like this? What the fuck is the dot, brother? Mean the py. Password. Okay. Find load up py. By name. Find by name. Unless stat execute so diagnosis. Okay, and then the process is file content. Max the listen or move level of directory before starting point. Doing max step 0 means only apply the test. No leave test. Some test, for example. Use let's not do it here. Useful find command. In the current directory, the fuck clear cd slash find by name less find less. What the fuck is happening? Find by name the py. Not in the current one, in the cases. In the current directory, if find only directory from such depth maximum. Search only the current directory and not its subdirectory. By ownership, find file by permission with exact by permission from find and delete file.
Hello there, this is Douglas Rumbaugh, and I would like to very quickly record a video describing the basic use of the find command in Linux. Now, the reason why I'm doing this in particular is because the find command is incredibly useful, but it is also very powerful and as a result complicated. And what this means is that figuring out initially how to make it do the simple thing of just find the damn file that I'm looking for is perhaps a little bit more complicated than you might expect. So if we just take a look at the man page for find, this will bear this out precisely. So find searches for files in the directory hierarchy. However, it has a lot of functionality. As a matter of fact, one of the big deals with find is that in addition to having a lot of search parameters that you can specify when you're searching for things, you can actually use find to run arbitrary commands upon the things that you find. So it's not just for looking for things and telling you that they exist and where they are. You can actually do things such as delete them directly from the find command. We're just going to be looking for them though in this video. And so if we roll on down to the bottom where the examples are, annoyingly, there is not just a simple, straightforward show me where this thing is example, as you can see. So I want to give you the simple show you where a thing is example. So the general syntax for find is you say find, and then you're going to specify the directory that you are searching. So in this case, let's look for SSH-related files within my Etsy directory. So I'm going to specify Etsy. If you want to search your entire system, of course, you would just use a / for root. And additionally to that, so I'm going to specify Etsy. If you want to search your entire system, of course, you would just use a / for root. And additionally to that, if you don't specify a directory, it will just scan your working directory. So for example, if I just do find Etsy at this point and give no further arguments, so past this I would specify my search parameters, and what's going to do is it's simply going to display every single file within my Etsy directory recursively, so within all the subdirectories as well, as you can see here. Now, I can pare down this list by applying various filters to it. So for example, if I'm looking for a file that is named exactly SSH, I can do that by saying tac name, following the directory, and then SSH. And as you can see, it found 3 things that exactly match that. So we have 3 things where the file name is precisely SSH, as well as a couple of directories that it couldn't search due to permissions issues because I'm not running as root, so we won't worry about that. Now there is no simple way to make it just not print errors. However, those are obviously going out on standard error, so we can do that. Do just a simple redirect to not see those. Okay, now this gives me everything that matches exactly, but what if I want something that's just a close match, or just has the letters SSH in a row in it? Well, this name parameter here supports globbing, so I can do this. It follows the same shell processing rules for globbing. Now it's going to search for SSH anywhere in the file name specifically. Now you can add additional parameters too. For example, type. If I give it type F, it will only show me files. And if I give it type D, it will only show me directories. Because it supports the standard globbing, I can actually do things then like this, where I can say SSH, and let's say I only want things that have a D or a period at the end of their name.
the sound in the background, bro. What the fuck? I'm sorry about this. I'm sorry for myself because I'm the only one watching. Like, I paused this 8, like 2 p.m. is like 11 a.m. The fuck, 11 a.m.? It's 11 p.m., bro. Alright. So, realistically, I'm kinda tired. So, like, I gotta, like, finish this. How should I select this? This and this. Sourcing file. This file command is kind of like difficult, kind of. Not too difficult, but so I found a video about this.
More. Here, I have a directory with a few subdirectories filled with various files. A real disorganized mess, not unlike some of the servers I've been called in to troubleshoot. I'll start by using the cd command to navigate to that directory. Then I'll show that there's a jumbled mess of files and subdirectories with the ls command. And somewhere in one of these subdirectories, I've saved the script for this video in a file called findscript.txt. Now, to use find to find it, simply type find, then a period to specify searching within the current working directory. Here, I could also pass a specific directory I want to search, if not the current one. Then use the -name argument and pass it the file name in quotes. In this case, findscript.txt. It outputs the location of the file. Easy peasy. This works great if you know the exact name of your file, but that's not always the case. In quotes. In this -name argument and pass it the file name in quotes.
Okay.
In this case, findscript.txt.
In this directory then. So like, man, understand a command with the command man. So I'm gonna like, I tried this. It's kind of too much. So I kind of like left this because I need to understand. I'm trying to understand it right now because of I need to understand how to read this stuff because in the future, like, I need to know how to read this or what is important and stuff. This developer will examine or print about files and properties with at the last there is examples, I think. What the fuck is that? Okay, what the fuck is that? What? How many months? Also see its locate. The fuck? Find and locate ain't the same thing. Okay, this is examples. Okay, examples, find simple, find file name core in or below the directory /temp and delete them. So like this is or I think find /temp by name, find in temp by name core /type. What is that? This will work incorrectly if there are any file name containing new lines, single or double quotations, quotes or space. Okay, what is F, by the way? Let me see. Okay, what is F, by the way? Let me see. Okay, what is F, by the way? Let me see. Okay, what is F, by the way? Let me see. Okay, what is F, by the way? Let me see. Okay, what is F, by the way? Let me see. Okay, what is F, by the way? Let me see. Okay, what is F, by the way? Let me see. Okay, what is F, by the way? Let me see. Okay, what is F, by the way? Let me see. Okay, what is F, by the way? Let me see. Okay, what is F, by the way? Let me see. Okay, what is F, by the way? Let me see. Okay, what is F, by the way? Let me see. Okay, what is F, by the way? Let me see. Okay, what is F, by the way? Let me see. Okay, what is F, by the way? Let me see. Okay, what is F, by the way? Let me see. Okay, what is F, by the way? Let me see. Okay, what is F, by the way? Let me see. Okay, what is F, by the way? Let me see. Okay, what is F, by the way? Let me see. Okay, what is F, by the way? Let me see. Okay, what is F, by the way? Let me see. Okay, what is Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm not getting anywhere with this, so like I need to copy all of this. Why is this Control A not working, by the way? Okay. Bruh, move up. Okay, I need ChatGPT in this. It's 11 p.m. by the way, so like, um, so share this while like learning commands and stuff. what is going on?
Hi, my name is Bruno Brisi.
Fucking hell, bro. I gotta do this. Oh shit. This shit is over, right? This one. Fucking hell. I'm really need it. Copy and pasting it. Let me see this. Okay, pause this.
Give me a systems display.
Now we want section 6 to 26. Nope, make that 10 to 40.
The difference between an amateur and a professional is you write your own compiler, okay? You can download my 2 meg distribution that has all the source code on it, and you can compile with my fucking compiler.
Give me a systems display.
An average Linux user is a distroholic. If you take a random person and ask them how many Linux distros they've tried, you might get an answer like 0. That's if they only used
Minus
Windows
3.
or Mac. Or you might get the
Ubuntu, like only for a day. Not even day, few minutes. And this Debian, I like this Debian.
number 1, which in most cases is something like Ubuntu or Linux Mint, the latter of which is actually one of the best Linux distros that I've tried personally at least. But here's the thing, when you use Linux, you often fall into this trap of grass is greener on the other side kind of thing, meaning you tend to do research on distros just to see some functionality that isn't as easily replicated on your current distro. You might be on Mint and see Fedora and think, wow, I really like that interface. Or you see Bazzite and get curious about potential gaming benefits that it would provide you, but then you install Bazzite and then this other distro called CatchyOS comes out and you say, wait, that's better than Bazzite, I gotta use this now. And the cycle repeats again and again. Some people say that you can tell the true Linux veteran apart by seeing how long they've been using a single distro for, and that might be true considering that switching distros can be a pain, which is why I still use the Hannah Montana distro. It's almost mandatory to mention this distro when you're doing a Linux video. An average Linux user is...
Okay, he kind of explains good. Okay, he got credentials.
Today's video is proudly sponsored by Linode. Linode has been doing cloud computing since 2003, which is actually before Amazon Web Services was even a thing. On the Linode platform, you can get your server up and running in minutes, and they include all the popular distributions such as Debian, Fedora, Ubuntu, and get this, even Arch Linux. And let's be honest, what could be better than a Linux-focused cloud server provider that lets you tell all of your friends, I run Arch? Linode has multiple server plans available to make any app scalable and flexible. You could use it to host a blog, a VPN server, a Minecraft server, and much more. In fact, Linode is the platform of choice to host the entire web presence of Learn Linux TV. In addition, Linode offers 24/7 365 support, regardless of plan size, so you can get help from a live person when you need it. New users can get started right now with $100 towards your new account, and I highly recommend you check them out because Linode is awesome. And now, let's get started with today's video. Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Learn Linux TV. In today's video, we're going to take a look at user management in Linux, one of the most important things that you'll learn how to do because, well, you have to keep track of your users on your Linux servers, and that's exactly what I'm going to show you the basics of in this video. I'll show you how to add users, how to remove users, how to set their password, and stuff as well. So let's go ahead and get started.
Okay.
Alright, so here I am on my Pop! OS system. This is my ThinkPad X1 Extreme laptop, but it doesn't really matter which distribution you're using or what computer you have. There will be some variations here and there, but for the most part, when it comes to adding and removing users, it's the same on each distribution. Now, if I do run across something that I think might be different from one distro to another, I'll be sure to point it out. Let's go ahead and open up a terminal and get started. And here's my terminal, complete with a ridiculously large font. I just want to make sure that everyone is able to see the content and understand what I'm doing. Let's go ahead and get started. Just like with most things when it comes to Linux, there's more than one way that we can do just about everything, and adding users is no exception to that. Especially in my case, considering I'm using desktop Linux, I don't even need to use the command line at all. However, using the command line is completely universal. There's many different desktop environments, and each one is going to have a different process for adding users, but each Linux distribution is going to have access to the user add command, which is the command that we'll be using for the majority of this video. And when it comes to servers, it's very common that Linux servers won't have a desktop environment, another reason to learn the command line. Anyway, like I mentioned, the command that we will use to add a new user to our system is the user add command. And considering that we'll be making changes to the system, we'll either need to be logged in as root, or we can simply use sudo in order to run this command with root privileges. Logged in as root, or we can simply use sudo in order to run this command with root privileges, which is required for any command that's going to make changes to the server. And of course, adding a user is making a system-wide change, so of course we're going to need root privileges, or we could just use sudo if we have that installed, and most of you should.
Okay.
After we type user add, we type the name of the user that we actually want to add to the system, and that will complete the command. Before we actually add a new user, let's take a look at some foundational concepts first, before we get started on that.
Okay.
And the first thing that I recommend you do is understand which users you have on your system already. What some people do is they will simply list the contents of the home directory because, generally speaking, most users will have his or her own home directory underneath /home, and you can see mine right here. So I have a home directory, and we can glean from this that my user J is on the system. Now, you probably already knew that because, well, you can see my username right here in the prompt, so you already knew that at least my user account existed here, and here it is. But checking the contents of the home directory is not really the best way to find out how many users or which users in particular you have already on your server. I mean, from the output here, you'd probably assume that my user account is the only user on the system, but actually, that's not true. What I want to do right now is make sure that you're aware of the existence of a very special file. And that's the etc password file. Password is abbreviated. That's not a typo. That's actually what the file is named. But I'll refer to it as etc password, which is common in the Linux community, even though it's abbreviated. So the cat command is just going to show me the contents of that file.
Okay.
And you can see that the text is wrapped here. So what I'm going to do is just lower the font size a bit. And as you can see, we have quite a few users on this system, not just mine, we have many more. You see my user right here.
See.
And each user is on their own line.
Yes.
So for example, if I was to again cat the contents of the etc password file, and then I pipe it into the wc command, which stands for word count, and that's a bonus command. It wasn't even supposed to be part of the video, but you're welcome. Anyway, what I'm going to do is add the -l option to the word count command. What that's going to do is give me the count of how many lines there are. So as you can see from the output, there's 44 users on this system. So definitely a lot more than the one you saw earlier when I listed the contents of /home.
The more you stay home, the less you want to leave. And the more you stay, the heavier everything feels. You think you're resting, but you're actually draining yourself.
Okay. Okay, what the fuck did he write? What did he write? What did he write? Like word count. Print new line word and count. Print the byte count, print the character count.
One you saw earlier when I listed the contents of /home. And in this file, every user on the system has its own line in this file. The first column shows the name of the user, and then there's other columns that follow after that. I'll go over this file in a little bit more detail later on, but at this point in the video, I want to make sure that you're aware of this file, that you're aware that it exists, and that you're aware of what its purpose is. Its purpose is to contain a listing and the options that are associated with the user accounts on your server. But either way, it's just a good idea to know whether or not the user is on the system already, and by checking the contents of this file, we can determine that. Now, one of the things I'm going to do is cat this out again, but I'm going to grep, so that way the only line of output that it's going to produce is just the one line that contains my user account. And what I want to point you to is this number right here, where it shows 1000.
Close to this. How do I delete this, bro? X100, 100, 1001.
Now again, I'll go over this file in more detail later, but I think it's a good idea to understand what this number is. That number refers to the user ID, aka UID. Every user has his or her own UID. As you can see here, the UID of my user is 1000. Most distributions of Linux actually ask you to create a user account during the installation process, and that first user is, well, pretty much almost always given the UID of 1000. I'll talk more about UIDs a bit later, but that's just another thing that I wanted you to be aware of. Anyway, let's go back to the user add command. After all, that's why we're here in the first place. We want to know how to add and remove users. And the user add command, as the name would imply, is the command that we would use to add a user to the system. I'm logged in as Jay, so I can't really use this command like I mentioned earlier without sudo or just logging in as root. So I'm going to add sudo to the command. And then at the end, I'm going to give it the name of a user.
I think this is a hash password.
I want to create. So I'm going to tell it to create a user with the name of Fox Mulder. So for all of you X-Files fans out there, yes, that was an Easter egg. And the X-Files was actually my favorite sci-fi series growing up. I loved watching that every Sunday night. Great times. Anyway, what I'm going to do right now is press enter. And now it's asking me for my password, my user password, to verify that I have access to the sudo command. And it didn't say anything, but it also doesn't appear to have failed either. So if I cat the contents of Etsy password again, let's see what happens. And as you can see, the very last line in this file shows that user was created. Now, if you recall, the UID for my user was UID 1000. For Fox Mulder, that user got UID 1001. Now, something to keep in mind is that when you add a user to a Linux system, it's going to assign the next available UID to that user. Now, my user already had assigned the UID of 1000, so that UID is no longer available. When I created the account Fox Mulder, it just incremented it by 1001. That's the UID that it was provided, as you can see here. Now, you'll notice from the output that there's some UIDs here that are much lower than 1000. For example, 122, 121, and so on. On most distributions of Linux, normal user accounts basically user accounts that are associated with interactive logins, or basically user IDs that are going to be used by a human, those are given UIDs 1000 and above. UIDs below 1000 are considered system accounts. And I'll talk a little bit more about system accounts in a few minutes, but I just wanted you to be aware of that distinction. We have user accounts, we also have system user accounts. And the user add command, by default, adds normal user accounts. Now, I added a user for Fox Mulder. We did that with the previous command that we entered. Let's also list the contents of the home directory and see whether or not that user has a home directory underneath /home. And it doesn't. Why is that? Now, depending on your distribution, it might have actually
I have that, by the way. Then
created a home directory for that user. On my end, it didn't. This is one thing that actually does differ from one distribution to another. Each distribution is going to set their own defaults for the user add command. So on your end, it might have created a home directory. On my end, well, I wasn't so fortunate. So let's take a quick detour here. And what I'm going to do is point you to another file. And that file is the etc default user add file. Now, I'm not going to go over this particular file in too much detail, but basically what it does is sets the defaults for user add. Each distribution is free to supply their own version of this particular file. So as you can see here, we have shell equals /bin/sh. If you want to use a different default shell, then you'll change it right here. But basically this file just sets the defaults. And again, it's going to be different from one distribution to another. And it's entirely possible that on your distribution, you may not even have this file at all. Now, all I want at this point is for you to be aware that this file exists. What you might think that I'm going to recommend is that you customize this file with the defaults that you prefer. But I'm not going to do that. Instead, I recommend that you be explicit. Say what you mean and mean what you say. So even if your distribution did create a home directory here, I still recommend that you tell the user add command specifically that you want a home directory. Now on your end, that might be redundant. If it already created a home directory for the user that you created, then why should you bother and add a redundant option to tell it to create a home directory when it already did? Now, it's a good idea to basically be explicit when it comes to Linux. Include all the options. And that's especially true when you're writing scripts, because you want your scripts to be portable. Maybe you have a script that you want to run on multiple distributions. If that's the case, you'll probably want the same output every time that script runs. So if you are using the user add command as part of a script, you'll probably want to add all the appropriate options to ensure that all the user accounts that you create are always created the same way. And I recommend that you be explicit not just when you're creating scripts, but basically just get in the habit of always doing that. So what I want to do is re-add the user, but I want to add the user with a home directory this time. But that requires another detour because the user already exists. I could create another user, but what I'm going to do instead is take this opportunity to show you how to remove a user account. So to remove a user account, you can use the user del command, the user delete command, however you want to say it. We'll need to use sudo, and then we give it the name of the user that we want to delete. But be very careful here. When you run a command like this on a Linux system, the Linux system is going to make the assumption that you know what you're doing. So just make sure that you're typing the username that's actually the user you want to delete. Just be very careful. So we created a user earlier named...
bro, I need to be careful because it's me. Sudo user delete Eric. List class home. Bro, it's still there. City Eric. Fucking hell. Okay. ls cd home ls. Can I log back in?